Weyland, the king of barriers, now has to contend with a new problem, none other than the free spirit of Quetzal busting through all the barriers. Alright, so this is my hyper-aggressive Quetzal deck. I nickname it Firework simply because this deck goes off like a firework. I keep this opening hand. It is not the best, but it has 2 Parasites, which is incredibly annoying for Corps to deal with, and it's a good way for me to erode double barriers, which can be a problem. More importantly, I have dirty laundry into Liberator accounts, which is very important. I do not want to click for a credit, then install Liberator accounts, bringing me to 0 credits. That is very bad play. This is why Liberator accounts is not seen played much, if any at all, even in faction, simply because the 6 install cost is ridiculous. But if you have another burst economy card to go with the lib accounts, you'll do just fine. Remember that you don't want to leave yourself with few credits at the end of the turn, so I do not install the lib accounts just yet. Instead, I draw one more card and I see another imp. So this pretty much dictates my strategy for the upcoming turns. Since I Parasites an imp, I want to break down all his central ice and then run through with impunity using imp. Now, he shows me the quandary on HQ, which is a perfect thing to see. Thankfully, it's not an Enigma or a data pike because it has 0 strength. I'm getting through in instant speed. Just play the Parasite, play the imp, and trash the sea source. Now, I knew that this could have happened because I made a run on R&D earlier and I saw the sea source. So I knew he was going to play a sea source Scorch deck. So knowing that the sea source was in hand, my target of focus was HQ, and luckily enough, I managed to find the sea source on my first run. So this should at least hold off the tag and bag threat for quite a while. Now I try HQ again, and I bounce off. Why? Because I want to use Dirty Laundry to gain credits and efficiency. So, yeah, this is one good thing about Quetzal's ability. Unlike Kit's ability is triggered whether you like it or not on the first encounter ice. Whereas for Quetzal, you can choose to bounce off and then run again as you wish. What I did there wasn't really didn't really matter. I could have just made a Dirty Laundry run on Archives the following turn. But in some situations, it can be crucial. For example, if I have a Legwork in my hand, I can bounce off now and immediately Legwork the next turn to see 3 cards. If I have a Count Siphon, that's 5 credits from the corp gone. So that's one very important thing. You don't have to break the barrier subroutine with Quetzal every time you encounter the ice. You can bounce off and come back later when you have more bursts. Alright, so I make a normal run on R&D now. I want to force him to res that ice. It's probably a barrier, probably too expensive for him to res, so he doesn't res it. I get the hostile takeover, and he lets me through once again. I see a wall of static. This is a very important thing to take a mental note of. It means that I need something that can break through a 3 strength barrier. So Darwin comes into play. Because I suspect that he'll put a wall of static on HQ, so a doubly stacked HQ, doubly stacked with barriers is a problem for Quetzal. I could install Parasite on the ice wall, but he could easily just advance it, thereby wasting my Parasite. So that's not the most ideal play. He installs a card on the remote, what I take to be a wall of static. So that's something to keep in mind. And knowing that he has the Seesaw Scorch threat, I pump up my credits. Now, I know that I've already trashed one of his sea sources. He probably doesn't have more than 2 in deck, but still, it will be pretty stupid to have worked so hard until this point to get Breakfast Agendas and lose to very careless tag and back, especially when I have the economic means to challenge him. So, better safe than sorry, I'm going to just keep hitting my Liberator accounts. I find the cleaners, and I take off 4 more credits, putting me out of C double Scorch range. The cleaners was huge because now that puts me on match point, squarely in the lead with 6-0. So things are looking very bad for him. He chose to fortify his scoring remote instead of the centrals, and he's paying the ultimate price for it. That is quite a big mistake. If he is making such a strong remote, he should be pushing out all the agendas in his hand to the remote, which he's not doing. So that's a problem for him. Now, he has chalked up lots of credits, which is a huge concern for me, mitigated by the fact that he just wears a Grim. So he trashes my Darwin, which I've been building up, that's a problem. But at least that forces 5 credits out of him, so it's not that difficult to challenge him anymore in terms of avoiding the tag and back. I trash his hedge fund with the remaining imp token because I cannot afford to let him get rich. Right now, I still can keep a flow of credits against him. I got very lucky this game because I draw all 3 copies of Liberator accounts even before I dug through 1/3 of my deck. That is a huge rarity. That almost never happens. Each Liberator account is basically plus 10 credits for me. So drawing all of that against a tag and back Weyland was what allowed me to stay safe in this game. Pretty much. So yes, I see another Scorched Turf. So I know that he has quite a few Scorched Turfs, at least 1 in hand, probably 2. And if he has a sea source to go along with it, I'm toast. So, yeah, I don't have an option now. I need to keep up with credits. It's the safe thing to do. I'm calculating right now. I need to end my turn with at least 19 credits, 6 less than him, to stay safe from C double Scorch. Installing Daily Cast will bring me 1 credit short. Installing David will also bring me 1 credit too short. I could install the Imp, but I don't want to because the Imp will get trashed by Grim. I want to make free runs of R&D. Just look, I just do the Maker's Eye. So I was forced to trash the David and gain credits from Liberator instead. That might be a mistake that can come back to haunt me later because the David is my only solution against Archers and Grims. He double advances the agenda in there, so I know that I either have to grab it or find an agenda somewhere else. Alright, and since he double advances it, it's probably a 5-3. So first turn, I run there knowing that he cannot do anything too nasty to me. I have no rig at all. Notice all my programs I've got? Yes, I have nothing on the table at all. So he does the right thing. He reses double barrier, which stops Quetzal cold in the tracks. Then I play the Maker's Eye. Hopefully I see an agenda. I do to close the game. That was very lucky because that last agenda was a posted bounty. So he was actually running a posted bounty that could tag me on his terms. If that agenda in the remote was a posted bounty, I would have lost the game the next turn if I didn't access the last agenda from R&D. That goes to show how close the game actually was. It might seem that I'm rolling all over him with Quetzal's ability. It is very strong, but I could have been this close from losing. Turns out it was a geothermal fracking, not a bounty. But either way, that could have been my path to defeat. It was pretty close. Quetzal's ability is amazing, and I think a lot of people on the forums have stated that many people don't know how to play against Quetzal, and that is quite true. He definitely should have made it a priority to seal up both HQ and R&D. To me, those 2 servers were completely powerless. I basically had free reign over both his centrals, and when you can say that against a corp, you know that the corp's in trouble. I was able to trash his C-Source, which was pretty huge. I think he didn't have another C-Source in hand, so the tag and back threat wasn't there yet. And yeah, I basically romped all over his R&D. I was able to see what eyes were coming and what to expect. That is a problem. He should have stacked double barriers over one of the central servers when he had the chance. But at least he was protecting his remote, which I could never for the life of me get in. Some other corps choose to just discard their barriers into the heap because they think barriers are useless. But on the contrary, most Quetzal players don't include a corroder in their deck, including mine. So once you get double barrier up, it's pretty impenetrable until a Parasite or an AI breaker hits the board, which will take time to effect. So yes, I think it's more of a matter of not knowing how to play against Quetzal that cost him the game, but on the same token, it was a pretty close one. I definitely got very lucky with my draws. I saw all the cards that I needed to see, the AI breaker, the 2 Parasites, the 2 Imps. That was just perfect, and all the money in the world to keep up with Weyland. You can't ask for any more than that. That was a perfect game for me, and even though I didn't have too many multi-access cards, I just had to keep running. That's what Quetzal does to the best, and that's how you should play her, in my opinion. You think so too? Thanks for watching and happy net running. See you around.